Hi guys, welcome back. I am finally back home. I know it's been like 2 weeks and you guys have seen me in or out like sporadically. You guys get to see a little bit of shorts, but that's about it. So let me give you kind of an idea of what's going on, what I've learned, and things I have to get done at my home. This is just kind of an update video. I just got home and there is so much work at our home. Like there's so much to be done. My garden is overflowing still. We are into October. I have quite a few more loads of tomatoes to get processed. So I've got to get to canning those starting tonight. And there was so much that happened that we had to really readjust fire on what we were doing. So as you guys know, about 2 weeks ago, I left on my deer hunt. It was a muzzle loader. It's a primitive hunt. And there was so many people outside, it was unbearable. We had found out that there was people posting the location of where the hunt was on social media of like best places to go take photos. So there was like thousands of people in like a 2-day period that were going up there, and everything, it pushed everything out, pushed all the animals out. I mean, we saw about 300 does and I did see some elk, but it was not in my region where I can hunt elk. So then this last week, was the elk hunt, and I went out for it and I did a lot of scouting. So in the last 2 weeks, I probably have hiked around 82 miles, like right in there. I've done a lot of hiking, and that is something that brings me to one of our topics for today. Is a lot of times people will ask me and go, well, what kind of boots do you wear? What do you recommend? And honestly, I have changed so many different types of hiking boots that I have. The only way for you to really understand what you like is for you to wear them. Unfortunately, I know that sounds crazy. My uncle was a great prime example while we were out in the field. He was wearing one of his favorite pairs of boots, and because the temperature dropped, it was about 18 degrees Fahrenheit. His boots weren't holding in the heat. Mine were holding in the heat really well. The only thing that I had to complain was when we kept getting downfall rain, that they were really mud gatherers. I don't know how to describe it, where my boots were weighing about 10 pounds each. And I had to like make some very precise decisions on some parts of my hunt, whether the terrain was becoming too dangerous that I needed to turn back, or if I could stay a little bit longer. One of the rain downfalls, I stayed way longer than I probably should have. And even 2 days later, when I went back up on that ridge, you could tell that there was some partial mudslides, and it was a good call that I made to turn back. But sometimes that weather, the different weather patterns, what is happening, assessing your terrain becomes very important and very critical for you to make a decision on the go of, do I have time to stay or do I not? So this last week when we went out on this elk hunt, it was extremely cold. The day of the opening, we got about 4 inches of snow. The ground was frozen, and then it was slush and mud. The terrain became really overbearing, but it was not impossible. So I've done a lot of different hiking and a lot of different scouting. I had a feeling that this hunt was going to be me scouting to find where the elk have been, where they've been pushed out of. It's a very large area. And now my husband is actually going to leave on his hunt on Saturday. So now that we know all the areas where the elk are not, he has that on his little hunt on X. So he knows where I've already tracked through, the areas where I did find tracks, the areas that I found old tracks, just giving him a better idea of where he should go on this next one. The terrain is extremely steep. I was at about 10,000 feet, if not higher most of the time. There's a few hikes in there where I was about at 8,800 feet, which wasn't too bad. But let me tell you what, when you're hiking a mile up in over 10,000 feet elevation, no matter how physically fit you believe you are, which is where I had to learn my lessons, you become winded. You're like, oh man, this is kicking my butt. And I decided I wanted to work a lot more on my strength training, that I had been slacking off on it for about a year. And so now I know that I need to improve in certain areas. And as my husband goes out on his hunt, I had to make some assessments when I was scouting. So there was one time I had hiked about 7 miles down into, I call them death valleys or death holes, where you are going along a ridge and then you start to descend and you are getting deeper and deeper. And so I was about 7 miles out. And once again, I had to make the assessment. My uncle has just had spinal and neck surgery, and he had made it through most of that area with me, which I was beyond impressed. But then I was debating, I heard a bugle and I was like, I just want to go just a little bit further. I have a feeling I can get there. And my uncle caught my attention and he was like, can you get out safe and can you get the animal out safe? Like, can you harvest and bring it up safely or can you not? And in that moment, I had to really check in on my ego. I had to really check myself because I can hike. I can go forever. So when you hear those people say, I'm going to bug out to the woods, and they haven't spent days and months and years playing in the woods, really rethink that. And I had to sit there and I weigh 128 pounds. I'm 5'1". And an elk is a very large animal. And I had to sit there and go, nope, I cannot ethically go hunt that elk that I'm hearing bugling down there. I had to take a step back from my ego and say, ethically, I cannot go in there to hunt that animal. And it was for the mere fact that I wouldn't be able to harvest all of it. I wouldn't be able to harvest it and carry it back. It's in bear country. By the time I would take the first load back up, that the bears would be already on it by the time I'd get down to the second. And then nothing's worse than trying to remove a predator from your kill. So I had to really think about that, even though I could hear and I knew exactly where they were. There was no way that I was going to be able to hike back up from this death hole 7 miles solo. So by me doing all the scouting and being able to locate where my husband and his friends need to go, it allows them to move quickly into their hunt versus having to assess every single terrain and noticing which way the elk have been pushed. So that's a great part when it comes to prepping. And that's one of the reasons why I bring it up is a lot of people think, when SHTF happens that they're just going to go and hunt and they're going to go and do all these things. And they don't understand the physical aspect. Unfortunately, there is a poacher aspect to it. My uncle's friend gave us a phone call and said that they had just found a moose that had been poached and only the back straps had been taken. And when I was making that choice of, do I continue down this death hole? I like to call them death holes. Was I going to be able to ethically kill this animal and be able to harvest it and bring it up? I had to check my ego and decide, no, there was no way that I was going to be able to ethically approach this hunt. And so I turned back and hiked 7 miles back in and took the loss. It was a loss because there was no way physically that not only my uncle and me be able to ethically harvest it and bring it back up. So I decided to stop, call it off, route myself, mark it on my map, know exactly where they were hanging out. And now I've relayed that information to my husband and his friends and my uncle, because they're all going to go out, and 3 people hauling back in is a lot easier than 1 person hauling back in. At least having 2 capable bodies to do it, because a lot of these animals weigh quite a bit and not everybody understands that aspect of it. So I had to make the right choice, even though it hurts inside. But now I'm back home. My husband played Mr. Mom for the last 2 weeks, and now he's going to head out on his hunt. And there's so much to be done at our home, and we like to balance the way we live our life. It's a very balanced and diverse way. So while I was gone, he was taking care of the animals and our kids and all their activities. And now that I'm home, there is a stacked up list of things that need to get done. Apparently, we have probably 100 and something eggs. And so I need to go through, wash those eggs. I'll probably put some clips in so you guys can see what's on my agenda of all the work I need to get done. but I will be, you know, cleaning off the eggs because there was constant rain here. Some of the bloom might have been washed off on those eggs, especially for some weird reason, the chickens decided they didn't want to lay in the coop and they wanted to go outside. So now I got to go in, clean out their coop, you know, re-put in some bedding in there and go back in and take care of the coop, make sure everything is getting ready for winter because winter is coming. We got 4 inches of snow. My house sits at about over 6,000 feet above the ocean. It gets cold, you guys. It gets really cold here. And the fact that we already got snow out there, most of my hunts the temperature was around 18 to 20 degrees every day. Everything was pretty frozen over. It's pretty rigorous on your body. And I need to really work on some of my aspects of physical fitness. I feel like that's an area that I am very much lacking in. My strength is just not where I would like it to be. And so for next year's hunt, that's what I'm hoping for. I will be going back up to our elk camp this weekend to make sure that if the guys do get where I scouted out, that I can haul back and start processing that meat if they do get one. Now, remember, it is called hunting, not killing for a reason. We like to approach getting our meat source from an ethical standpoint. While many other people don't understand that, which that's okay. I have to process a lot of eggs. I have to get the garden pulled. I need to get as many of those tomatoes in and start a batch tonight on our tomatoes. I have a bunch of bell peppers that are ready. The sweet potatoes are ready to come out of the ground. The chicken coop needs attending to. There is so much on my plate right now that I feel like I am drowning, but it's all doable. And once we start living that lifestyle, it becomes second nature. So while he's off doing that, I know that I have a lot of tasks on hand that I just need to get done. I think I'm going to be freeze drying most of those eggs because the fact that they're super muddy when they came into the house, I want to get them processed as fast as possible and find out which ones have not turned, that have already turned bad, because I have not been here in 2 weeks and I'm normally pretty quick on the rotational side of our egg production. Things that I've noticed that we are lacking in the house because I've been gone, bread, bagels. There's a lot of things that I need to get to baking right now. My sourdough has been a little bit neglected while I was gone. And there's just a lot that needs to be done. Do you guys ever feel that way? Do you ever feel like when you leave for a set amount of time that all of a sudden all the tasks are through the roof? I have a table in my dining room right now that is filled with all the jars that I canned, you know, over the last month, and I haven't even labeled them. And then I was informed that my newest recipe that I combined about 3 recipes together with, and it was very much an experimental recipe. It's a ketchup. My son and my husband does not like ketchup. He was like, this is the most phenomenal thing you've probably ever created. We want more. And so now I'm like, oh, I need to get that done too, because we do like to preserve our food as it comes ripe. We are seasonal eaters. So as much as I got already done, I need to go label all those jars. I have to get some of the shelving over there moved around because there is no room, because we've decided to increase our food production quite a bit this year, which was a great goal for us. I can about 200 to 300 jars every single year, but this year I've tried to exponentially bring that to about 500. I have about 1,000 jars over there that I've already canned. And so now trying to bring our canned food storage of what I produce at our home almost to 2,000. It's becoming a very hefty goal. Now, things that I am noticing that I am lacking in my preps, and I know this video is very long, but I haven't been able to talk to you guys. So I wanted to go over some of the areas that we are lacking in. So we have a half a cow in our fridge. We've probably gone through about 1/3 of that. And so now that our venison and our elk meat is very low, we still have a bunch of antelope. We still have about 1/4 of a pig, so we need to put into another order of another whole pig for our freezer. But because of what the beef costs are, we are trying to assess if we want to do 1/4 of beef or if we're going to be able to harvest this year and be able to just forego putting in that order. We've been talking back and forth. with one of the farmers. I have a feeling we're going to put in for at least a half a cow, but I'd like to bring it down to a quarter of a cow and alterate with some other meat. Things that I noticed that were a little bit more scarce this year for my area was grouse. We do a lot of grouse hunting, and I wasn't finding any mountain chickens anywhere. That's one of the terms that we like to laugh about. I was hoping to bring back at least 8 when I came down, and I only saw 1 in the last 2 weeks, only 1. That was a very alarming for us and for my uncle too, because he was like, I have never not seen grouse everywhere. Grouse tastes just like chicken, you guys. You can use it just like chicken, but I'm hoping that this weekend when I go out, at least I'll be able to find a few of those while they're out on their hunt and be able to harvest those and bring those home. If not, then we're going to have to go do some pheasant hunting. So we'll find out how everything is going to go out and play out for this year. But right now it is October. It is Stocktober in a sense when it comes to prepping and homesteading, and it's making sure that all of your shelving units are getting filled and that you are really processing through. So I have a ton of herbs that I need to get into the dehydrator today, along with making sure that I am checking on all those eggs, because once again, chickens slow down their production when it comes to winter, and I really don't want us to fall behind as a family. We have spent so much time making sure that we really keep our rotational pantry very stocked full, and I need to really go through and double check my list, and I hope that you guys do the exact same thing. It's so incredibly important for your family to find those little holes that you are missing on. Now, I do want to have a video. I did do a short duet to a lady who was filling her fridge, and she was saying that she pays about $1,200 for groceries per month. And so tomorrow's segment is going to be about the frugal side of grocery shopping and how your prepper pantry will help you combat those costs. Because when you stock up your prepper pantry, your rotational pantry really strong, along with your long-term food storage, then you're not lacking in other areas and you're not dependent on what society is going to put as their food prices. This is so incredibly important. But as always, stay aware, stay prepared, and always have your head on a swivel. I'm going to head out to the garden and start pulling what I need to. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow.